Premier Stanley Mathabatha is hosting the Education Indaba under the theme Moving Limpopo Towards Educational Excellence. Stakeholders will discuss and attempt to find a solution to the declining trend in the province's national senior certificate performance. SABC News reporter Pimani Baloyi is in Polokwane and we cross to her right now. Pimani, a very good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining us. So what can we expect from today's symposium?
Morning, Simpiwe, and good morning to our viewers. Indeed, we are at a lodge here in Polokwane where the provincial government is expected to hold a summit that will look into the declining matric pass rate in the province. As you've mentioned, Simpiwe, Limpopo is the only province that the class of 2021 in Limpopo was the only one that did not reach the 70% pass rate last year when the matric results came out, and it also achieved an 68% pass rate, and then it saw a decline, Simpiwe, and this decline we've been seeing for the past few years. And Limpopo Premier Stanley Mathabatha, when he was asked if he was going to take action, said, he'll gather stakeholders together at this hall this month to ensure that everybody ventilates what could have led to this decline in the pass rate. We have been crisscrossing the province where we've spoken to various stakeholders, learners, parents, and especially SGBs, who were telling us that there are a lot of challenges that they're hoping that this symposium here will touch on. These include lack of infrastructure, where we've seen learners learning in overcrowded classrooms that don't have sufficient infrastructure, and classrooms just don't have resources such as water and ventilation and all of that. But we expect this symposium here to speak about these issues, because what we understand is that a lot of stakeholders that are affected in the education sector are invited here. We've just seen a glimpse of the program, but to speak more about this program and what it holds, I'm going to be joined by my colleague Katlego Nyoni, who has been doing a lot of education stories in the province. Katlego, you are holding the program there. What can we expect from this summit?
Good morning, Pimani. As you've rightfully pointed out, that the Limpopo province is plagued by a number of challenges in the education sectors. We've seen issues of scholar transport being a key issue. Problems at foundation phase also affecting learners in that level. But to look at, at the program, we've seen that the Premier of Limpopo, Premier Stanley Mathabatha, will give a key address. And we're also seeing an education analyst, Professor Ngwepe. We're also seeing some opposition parties who are also present. But we wonder, Pimani, why are some of the education stakeholders not invited? You have unions and COSAs as well.
Katlego, when we were doing stories after the release of the pass rate, we've spoken to COSAs, we've spoken to education unions, we've spoken to SGBs. They seem not to feature in the program. They probably are invited. Do you think this discussion will lead to a solution in the absence of these stakeholders?
In order to address some of these solutions, Pimani, we need to look as well as foundation phase, right, which is a key issue. The province seems to be neglecting foundation phase. We've seen year after year, when budgets are allocated, there's always issues. For example, school nutrition. For example, like you're saying, infrastructure. We wonder how these stakeholders, should they be present here, whatever they will say, if it will bring a change.
Thank you so much. That's my colleague Katlego Nyoni. Simpiwe, after the release of the matric results, we saw a lot of stakeholders, including COSAs, calling for the MEC's head. When we look around inside this hall, we've seen representatives of political parties that are represented in the provincial legislature present here. There are also some of the stakeholders who were saying MEC Bushielo should take responsibility for the decline in the pass rate. We don't know how, if this, from the program that we've seen, we don't know if they will be speaking on the podium and if they will also be adding their voice. But what the Premier said was that he is going to sit down with all these affected stakeholders, hear from them about what could have contributed to the decline in the pass rate, and then come with a solution to ensure that, they make Limpopo shine again. Simpiwe.
One of the studies conducted by scholars about the state of education, especially in Limpopo, is that the findings is that the negative attitudes of the educators towards transformation of policies, the lack of competency of the educators in teaching, reading and numeracy, and the lack of equitable distribution of resources to public schools, and the lack of induction and in-service training of educators were amongst the contributing factors hampering effective provisioning of quality education in that province. Are you also of the view that the provincial government is aware of these problems but is deliberately turning a blind eye?
The Limpopo Provincial Department of Education has always stated that, education is a societal issue, stating that, all stakeholders need to take responsibility in their part in ensuring that, this sector passes, like it makes it. But, in terms of, training educators, ensuring that there's programs that ensure that they understand what is there, we have not been invited to any of those facilities, Simpiwe. And we've spoken to various, education experts who say there is a lot that needs to be done in ensuring that, teachers are committed to ensuring that skills are transferred to learners, but also government needs to create an environment where learning and teaching is conducive, where we've seen people teaching under trees, Simpiwe, in the province. Yesterday I was at a school and some learners were sitting on top of a brick inside a dilapidated mobile classroom that was taken to the school years ago. So these are some of the issues that we are hoping will be discussed in this hall, Simpiwe.
All right, Pimani, we'll leave it there for now. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll touch base with you a little later.